Okay, but this is actually the cutest dining table that I have ever seen. At least it will be once I'm finished flipping it. Hello, I am Katie, the furniture redesigner behind Salvaged by K. Scott. I'm a full-time furniture flipper who takes worn out, outdated, and usually on their way to the landfill furniture pieces and reworks them into something that is beautiful and useful again. I had never seen one of these scalloped edge dining tables before we moved out to the East Coast, but I think I've crossed paths with about 6 of them since then. I finally pulled the trigger when I saw this one pop up on my Facebook Marketplace feed last week, and I am pumped to get all of this brown melamine paint off of it and give it a new look. How do I know it's a melamine paint, you ask? Well, that's because the beautiful lady that I picked this up from was kind enough to send me away with the rest of the can. I didn't have the heart to tell her that I was planning on stripping it all off. This sweet table that's shaped like a little flower also separates and accommodates 2 additional leaves, which make it big enough to seat probably 6 or 8 people. It's super sturdy and looks like it's going to be in pretty good shape under all this paint. It's obviously been a long time family workhorse. The bottom is covered in lots of crayon scribbles, and there's all the typical crusty stuff from food spills built up along the edges of the leaves. It also looks like a bunch of these plastic pegs that keep the leaves from moving around when they're installed in the table have actually snapped off and are stuck in their corresponding holes, so I'm gonna have to dig those out somehow. Speaking of that stripping though, I think my ultimate goal here is gonna be a nice light wood top with a fresh new fun color painted on the legs. And I'm going to tackle the paint removal part of this process with some circa 1850 gel stripper. This stuff works incredibly well, but it's pretty nasty, so I need some thick chemical resistant gloves, my respirator, and some goggles to protect my eyes from any possible splashes. It's always a good idea to reread the directions on whatever products you choose to go with and follow all of the safety instructions, cleanup instructions, and disposal instructions. So once I got myself geared up, I poured out a thick layer of this gel over the surface and then used a cheap chip brush to spread it out. Once I had the tabletop all nicely coated, I laid some plastic over it to keep the gel from drying out while it was doing its thing, breaking down that paint. I left the stripper for about 30 minutes, and when I came back to check on it, I could really easily smush that paint off of the surface with my finger through the plastic, so that's how I knew it was ready to come off. I grabbed a box out of our recycling pile to collect all of this hazmat mess and started working at scraping up all the goo, one surface at a time, with a flexible metal putty knife. You want to be a little bit careful though, especially if you're using a metal blade and not a plastic scraper, because the stripper makes the wood really soft and it's pretty easy to accidentally leave big scratches or gouges in the surface. On the carved edges, I used my scraper to pick up the biggest chunks of paint, and then I grabbed some fine steel wool to kind of scrub off the rest. This came off really easily, and it looks like it broke down whatever was left of the original finish that was under there too. Once I was done all of my scraping and scrubbing, I had to go back over the tabletop with some mineral spirits and some more clean steel wool to clean up any residue that was left on the surface. Then I left this wood to dry out again overnight, and I'll take this box of chemicals to my local hazardous materials collection site so that they can safely dispose of it. It doesn't look like there's too much damage on this wood at all. A few typical tabletop scratches and dents, but nothing awful or really deep in the wood, which is great. What's not so great though are these rusted tracks that let the table open and close. They are super stiff and are gonna need some serious attention. So while I was working on the tabletop, I decided just to spray these down with a little bit of WD-40 to hopefully start loosening things up. My 13-year-old Ryan decided that he wanted to have a go at removing those broken plugs. So he grabbed a screwdriver, some needle nose pliers, and a little dental pick out of my tool collection, but pretty quickly gave up on that strategy and decided to drill them out instead.
I don't want to wreck the hole. Just end up pulling the whole thing out with this. Like one little piece.
It's just crumbling, hey?
Yeah. Alright, let's go find the drill bit. Keep it straight. I might need a bit of more for this.
The battery's dead.
Oh yeah, it is dead. Use that with the pliers.
Boom. Ta-da! Thanks, Rye.
No problem.
It's way easier when your drill battery isn't dead. Whoop.
Boom.
Boom, baby.
Right through it. There it is.
There it is. I put some 120 grit paper on my orbital sander and started removing any paint or old finish that was left and smoothed out the scratches. On these curved surfaces, I didn't want to use my flat sander because that would grind down the profile. So I used a foam abrasive pad to form around the curves instead. You don't need a whole surf prep sanding system to do this. You can just buy these pads for whatever sander you've already got, and they are a serious game changer when you're working on furniture. Before I got into the final finish sanding on the top, I wanted to flip this over and deal with the base. I unscrewed all of the cleats and removed the rusty tracks and also removed the legs so that I could work on everything separately. Once I had all that stuff out of the way, I continued with my 120 grit to clean up the messy paint job and most of the scribbles from under here. But I did decide to keep little Nat's autograph as a nod to this table's previous life. I'm sure this thing has lots of stories to tell, and I didn't want to erase all of them. I did also decide to pull the rest of the plastic pegs out because they're pretty likely going to snap off at some point soon anyway. I'm just not sure what I'm going to use as a replacement for these yet. I think a metal peg would be ideal, so I'll have to see what I can source online, but worst case scenario, I think I'll cut up some wood dowels and use those in there. I got a little ahead of myself and forgot to wash the underside of the table before I started sanding. So before I moved on to the skirting and the legs, I washed those down with a heavy duty degreaser. I have these old metal coat hangers that I can hang off of my garage door tracks, which makes dealing with big round legs like this so much easier. Once that was dry, I scuff sanded the parts that I'd be painting to give my paint some texture to grab onto and smooth out any drips in the previous job. But I was pretty surprised at how easily the paint came off these skirting pieces. I was back to bare wood in just a few seconds, which wasn't necessarily what I was attempting to do, but I'll take it. I masked off the skirting from the rest of the top so that I could prime and paint while keeping it nice and neat under there. And then I used a spray can of my favorite bin shellac based primer. While that was drying, I got a little more detailed with the decrustification of these tracks. I busted out some fresh new wire wheel attachments for my rotary tool, and I used those as well as a ton more WD-40 to grind off as much of this garbage as I could. I think I worked on these for about an hour altogether. I got a lot of the rust off, and opening and closing them a million times seems to have worked that lubricant down into the bits that I couldn't get to. So these are definitely going to function much better now, and hopefully the residual WD-40 will help keep that rust at bay for a little while longer. By this point, my primer was nice and dry, and I was ready to start paint. And maybe you'll think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna paint the bottom of this table pink. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I'm gonna be keeping this table in our basement guest suite. I currently have another little table down there that I upcycled, but I'm completely in love with the fun design of this one, and I think it deserves an equally fun color story. I mean, how many pink tables does a girl get to own in her lifetime? So yeah. I poured about half of this pint through a paper strainer into my gravity-fed HVLP pneumatic sprayer and added about a teaspoon of water to thin it out just the tiniest bit. This paint is actually designed to be brushed or rolled, so if spraying isn't your thing, that is totally fine. It's a low VOC acrylic resin-based paint that cures to a UV-resistant, water-resistant, washable matte finish that doesn't require any additional top coat for most applications. Although since this is a dining table that might need a good scrub and will likely get knocked into with chairs, I am going to be adding another layer of protection. I figured I'd better mask off the leg bolts too so they didn't get caked up with paint. I should have done that before I got primer all over them, but here we are. I sprayed 2 coats of my pretty pink, waiting for it to dry for about 2 hours in between, and also giving it just a very light rub down with some 400 grit sandpaper to keep it super smooth, and then I left that to dry overnight again. Day 3 now. I peeled up all of my masking, reinstalled the tracks and the cleats to the bottom of the table, and reattached the legs so that I could stand it up again and finish off the top. I reused my masking paper to protect the fresh paint from getting scuffed by my sander cord and hose while I was working on the top, and then grabbed some 180 grit to do my final smooth sand on this maple. I put the leaves back into the center to make sure that the finish was looking consistent across all 4 surfaces, and then I just used a damp rag to pick up any sanding dust that was still hanging on. You can see the wood turn really yellow as it gets wet, and that's sort of what it would look like if I applied a protective sealer to it right now. I don't want a yellow maple tabletop like the original, so I'm going to use a whitewash over the wood to keep the color closer to this freshly sanded tone instead. I have a little bit of this cathedral taupe paint left over from another project, so I'm going to thin it out with a bunch of water to create my paint wash. I'd say this is probably close to 1 part paint and 3 parts water, but it really doesn't need to be exact. I brushed the watered down paint over the tabletop one section at a time and then immediately went back with a lint-free rag and soaked up any water that hadn't been absorbed into the wood. It's important that you wipe back in the direction of the wood grain to camouflage any streaks of pigment. If you go against the grain, you'll definitely start to see what looks like brush strokes, and that's just not a cute look. I made sure to continue my wash all the way down the edges as well to keep everything looking nice and cohesive. Come on, it's like a little cartoon cloud with the leaves in. I love this table. I love it so much. I left my wash to dry for about 2 hours, and then I came back to the garage with a can of Behr's matte water-based polyurethane and my cleaned out spray gun. My preference is always going to be for a clean sprayed finish, but you can absolutely apply this top coat with a brush or a sponge and get fantastic results. Like I said earlier, since this is the type of furniture that's going to see a lot of heavy use and heavy cleaning, I want to give it as much protection as possible. So I ended up spraying 2 coats of this over the painted bottom portion and then 3 coats over the tabletop. Brown paint removed, imperfections fixed up with some of the old stories still intact. I still need to find a good solution for the pegs that go in the leaves, but this adorable table is probably one of my top favorite furniture projects that I've ever worked on. I know pink isn't a traditional choice for something like this, but I think it's perfectly fitting in this situation, and I'm so glad I get to keep this one. I hope you had fun and learned a few things watching me work through this project. I'm still learning right along with you. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will catch you all next time.